Everything began back in May of 2004, when James Rolfe, originally known as the Angry Nintendo Nerd, now known as Angry Video Game Nerd, made a short review of the game Castlevania 2, originally only as a VHS tape, and it was originally only meant for friends to see, but, well, things changed, and later Rolfe decided to create one more video. A video on his then most hated game, the dreadful Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. And in that specific video, he was drinking Rolling Rock, which was, by complete coincidence, as that was the only beer he had in his fridge at the time. But nonetheless, it ended up becoming a trait, a staple of the nerd. In the beginning, the nerd's reviews were only meant to be private, so to speak. However, on April 6, 2006, Rolfe's friend and collaborator, Mike Matei, convinced him to post the videos on a YouTube channel. His YouTube channel, called James Nintendo Nerd. Well, kind of his YouTube channel. It used to be managed by Mike Matei for James. But the channel is now known as Cinemassacre, which again Mike created and managed for him. This was the beginning. This was the start. That is what started gaining the character of the angry Nintendo nerd, or well, the angry video game nerd, traction and attention. But he did not gain mainstream attention until September 12, 2006, when the review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles became viral, just out of nowhere. It became a viral video on YouTube. At some point in time, his videos were also published on Game Trailers and Screw Attack, but well, Rolfe decided to leave Screw Attack in around 2013. Despite that, by that point, his content was everywhere, and people were loving every minute of it. They loved the nerd, they wanted to see more from the nerd. And that is how the Angry Video Game Nerd became a mainstream name. I'm not quite certain as to how many people know this, but at some point, a fictional feud with Nostalgia Critic began. The so-called feud began with Nostalgia Critic launching a satirical attack on the nerd in an early episode. The so-called feud took place over many episodes between 2008 and 2009, which were handled much akin to events. Momentous occasions or moments that are significant on each other's channels. Afterwards, and during that time, the two appeared on each other's channels fairly often. The two characters and real-life comedians have stated that they are good friends with one another, well, not as much stated as more so shown. Subsequently, Walker has informed his viewers of Rolfe's projects, and Rolfe has contributed to some of the Critic's subsequent videos. The friendship between the two boosted both of their characters a fair bit, gaining them both extra traction and attention, further establishing the two characters as mainstream names. With the success of the Angry Video Game Nerd, it in a way started a legacy. You see, in the beginning of YouTube's infancy, YouTube was just viewed as this kind of platform where you could just throw random stuff onto it, and it might get viral or not, mostly a shitposting site. But James Rolfe came to YouTube and started an entire show. A show talking about his thoughts on games, called them reviews. Something that back then was not really commonplace, by any means. And the argument could be made that James Rolfe was one of the first, if not the first, to popularize the concept of reviewing media on YouTube, and or simply talking about content that you feel passionate about. Due to the success of the Angry Video Game Nerd, as per the rules, if something becomes successful, there will be dozens, if not several hundreds of people who will try to copy it. And they did. A lot. And I mean a lot of quote-unquote reviewers got into YouTube solely because, in a way, they were inspired by James Rolfe. Some took inspiration from the Angry Video Game Nerd character, but still attempted to add their own unique traits and personality. The argument could be made that he started the entire reviewing content trend on YouTube. Even now, years later, James Rolfe is still creating content and has a myriad of shows on the Cinemassacre channel, where he does things along with his friends such as Mike Mattei, the two hosting the James and Mike Monday show, and several others. People still watch whatever he puts out, with an incredibly loyal fan base, and the character of the angry video game nerd is still being relevant, and the person behind the character is known and respected in most circles of YouTube, by creators and viewers alike. But hey, you don't have to take my word for it.
I've been watching the Angry Video Game Nerd for over 7 years now, and he's always been one of my favourite content creators. One of those I can always go back and binge watch when I'm having a bad day. His style and sense of humour have definitely rubbed off on me, and he's had a significant influence on my own channel. As saturated as the genre became, he really did single-handedly pioneer this type of content, and we all owe him a debt in that regard. The fact that he's been making videos for over 14 years now but still manages to put out great content is a further testament to his talents. And on top of all that, James Rolfe is a real humble, chill, down-to-earth guy who never developed an ego or let his fame go to his head. He truly is a legend of the internet, one we can all respect and admire.
James Rolfe isn't just the angry video game nerd, he's the guy. He's the guy that got the foot in the door for gaming on YouTube. He's the one, the pioneer, the one that was there on the front lines promoting gaming on YouTube, which made gaming on YouTube the big thing that it is today. Without the angry video game nerd, I don't think gaming would be as big on YouTube as it is right now. He was talented, he was funny, it was good production values, even for that time. And sure, the humor was on as a little crash, but it was entertaining, and that's what people wanted.
The angry video game nerd is like the Doom of online video game reviews. When Doom came out, there already were shooters. There were top-down shooters, side-scrollers, but Doom did something new and original. It changed the format, the first-person shooter, and was a bit edgy with demons and hell and pentagrams all over the place. And the nerd did something similar for the video game video reviews. It was, I think he started before YouTube was even a thing, on Screw Attack, and he reviewed games in a kind of almost comedy skits type way. And it was incredibly edgy for the time. It wasn't just, this game is good because this and this and that. No, with cyborg Jesus, shit, stains, vulgarities, all the obscenities one could ever dream of. And that is what made the nerd stand out, just like how Doom stood out back in the day. Just like how Doom inspired a whole new genre of video games. First-person shooters were called Doom clones in the early days. The nerd inspired a type of content creator who would also review games and videos in a comical, similar way. The R8 Gamer, for example, is the most obvious nerd clone, but there's also Peanut Butter Gamer, Jontron. They were all inspired by the original nerd. They did their own thing with the format, just like how other more recent FPS shooter games things are doing their own separate things. And I think that's why the nerd is so important for gamers and for online content about video games.
So, admittedly, growing up, I did not know of AVGN. I knew of him via reputation, what he was or what he did. So I didn't start watching James Rolfe until fairly recently, about a year or two ago. I've enjoyed his content in a little bit of time that I've been watching him, and it's been really good fun. Some of my favourite videos are like the hour-long review Monster Madness videos, like the Friday the 13th and the Halloween videos, which I really enjoy. What I really do enjoy about James, though, is despite doing reviews for the better part of a decade, he's still really passionate about whatever it is he's making, and it really, really shows. And James's evolution as a person has just been an interesting one just to watch him go from this angry video game nerd persona to James Rolfe, internet critic.
Fundamentally, James Rolfe has fostered a highly dedicated fan base, alongside making himself, for lack of a better word, an icon. People know the Angry Video Game Nerd, and a large portion of them respect the talented man behind the Angry Video Game Nerd, James Rolfe. Everything and anything James Rolfe feels like a passion project, from his music-related content to his long, in-depth reviews of movies, discussions with his friends, so on and so forth. When someone is passionate about something or truly enjoys doing what they're doing, you can feel it, and that's quite simply how it is with James Rolfe. And began to follow his other creations, series, passion projects, so on and so forth. It's a massive contrast between the Angry Video Game Nerd and the current nostalgia critic. Point being, despite having created content on YouTube for well over a decade, he's still thriving, growing, and still has a very dedicated fan base. Now, I suppose it's only fair as to give my own more personal thoughts on James Rolfe. Simply put, the Angry Video Game Nerd was, in a way, one of the many reasons why I became a YouTuber in the first place. Of course, I've been inspired to do so by a fair few creators, but the Angry Video Game Nerd also has a special place in my heart, and I still rewatch all of the episodes every now and then, along with watching James Rolfe's content, anything he really puts out. To me, James Rolfe is one of the best creators on YouTube, from whom similar creators should learn from, as he's clearly doing something right. Trust me when I say this, but I have a newfound hatred for exams. It was quite difficult to get this video out and also tackle my exams all the while, which again I apologize for the lack of uploads. This is honestly a video I've had on my mind for a while to do, and well, I finally decided to do it. No better time to do so. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a like. If you want to see more content from me, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified of when I actually upload, you could hit the bell button. I'd be eternally grateful. Now, if you want to keep up to date with whatever shenanigans is going on with my life, you can follow me on Twitter, where I'm most active. And if you feel like supporting me just an extra bit more, you can give me money on Patreon. All the links and everything will be down below in the description. Now, before we properly end this, I want to thank my Patreons, Bonanine and Garking, and then my top tier patrons, Crashlog. And that's all, folks.